Right now, as you watch this, the sun could already be gone, not dimmed, not collapsed, simply gone, erased from the center of the solar system. And here's the strange part. You would not know, not for another 8 minutes. For those 8 minutes, the sky would stay blue, the light would stay warm. Everything would look exactly the way it does in the last ordinary moment of your life. Those 8 minutes are not a mistake, and they are not a reprieve. They are a window into how the universe actually delivers light, gravity, and warmth to your front door, and how little of it is happening now. Let's be honest about the rules first. The sun cannot simply vanish. Mass does not blink out of existence. The laws of physics forbid it. But the thought experiment is a scalpel. By asking what would happen if the sun disappeared, we expose the hidden machinery, the things the sun quietly does for us that we never think to thank it for. Because the sun is doing three jobs at once. It holds the earth in its orbit, it floods us with light, and it keeps us warm. Take it away and you do not lose all three at the same instant. You lose them in a precise, brutal order. And the order is the whole story. Start with light. The sun is about 150 million kilometers away. Light is fast, but it is not infinitely fast. It travels at a fixed speed, and crossing that gap takes it roughly 8 minutes and 20 seconds. So the sunlight on your skin right now did not leave the sun a moment ago. It left more than 8 minutes ago. You are always looking at the past, and not just where the sun is concerned. Every star you have ever seen is the same kind of echo. Some of that starlight is thousands of years old. A few of those stars may not even exist anymore. The night sky is a museum of light, and the sun is simply the closest exhibit. If the sun disappeared, that last burst of light would keep racing toward Earth on its own, with nothing behind it. For 8 minutes, you would stand in the glow of a star that no longer exists. A recording playing after the performer has left the stage. A Danish astronomer named Ole Rømer first proved light had a finite speed back in the 1676, watching the moons of Jupiter run late. He could not have known that his discovery hit a doomsday clock. 8 minutes. That is your window of grace. Now the surprise. What about gravity? For centuries, people assumed gravity was instant, that if the sun vanished, the Earth would feel it let go immediately and drop. Einstein's general relativity says no. Gravity is not a force reaching across empty space. It is the shape of space itself, and changes in that shape travel at exactly the speed of light. So gravity and light would fail at the same moment. For the same 8 minutes that the sky stays bright, the Earth would keep circling a sun that is no longer there, orbiting a ghost. This is not just theory. In 2015, the detectors at LIGO caught gravitational waves from two black holes colliding more than 1 billion light-years away. Ripples in space-time, arriving exactly at light speed, precisely as Einstein had predicted a century before. Gravity has a speed limit, and it is the same as light's. And then together the light dies and the grip releases. Here is what people get wrong. The Earth would not fall toward where the sun used to be. With nothing left to hold it in a curve, it would simply stop turning and travel in a straight line, flying off on a tangent, like a stone released from a sling, at about 30 kilometers every second. We would not plummet. We would be flung, silently, smoothly, out into the dark. At the 8-minute mark, the sky would go out. If it were daytime where you stood, you would witness the only true sunset in history with no dawn behind it. The sun not sinking, but vanishing midair. Then one by one, the other lights would die. The full moon overhead would darken within a couple of seconds, because moonlight is only borrowed sunlight. Mars, Jupiter, Venus, the planets shine by reflection too, and as the wave of lost light swept outward, each would simply wink out in turn. What would remain is the stars. They make their own light, and they are so far away that they would not notice us at all. The Earth would be left under a sky of cold, indifferent pinpricks, a permanent, starlit night that no morning would ever interrupt. People imagine an instant deep freeze. That is not what the first day looks like. The Earth is a vast store of heat. The ground, the oceans, the air, all of it is warm, and warmth takes time to leak away into space. Losing the sun is not like switching off a heater in a small room. It is like switching off a heater inside a mountain. In the first 24 hours, the average surface temperature would begin a slow, steady fall, measured in the single degrees, not catastrophe. By the end of the first week, the global average would already be near the freezing point of water. Within a year, it would plunge toward minus 100 degrees Celsius. But the first day would not feel like the end of the world. It would feel like a long, strange, cooling night. And the balance that drives our weather would already be breaking. The sun is the engine of every wind and every storm. It heats the equator more than the poles. And that difference is what stirs the entire atmosphere. Remove it, and the familiar rhythm of day and night, of heating and cooling, would slowly unravel into a still, frozen calm. This is the cruelest detail. Losing the light is sudden. Losing the heat is patient. The first day would feel survivable, and that is exactly what would make it so dangerous. The real collapse begins quietly in the green. Plants do not eat. They build themselves out of sunlight through photosynthesis. Cut off the light, and within days that process simply stops. The smallest plants in the ocean's microscopic phytoplankton, the true foundation of life on Earth, would begin to fail first. Not everything would die at once. The largest trees, with years of sugar stored in their trunks, might stand for a while longer. Large animals could live for a time on what was already alive or already harvested. But this is borrowed time, not a reprieve. Everything stands on that foundation. The animals that eat plants and the animals that eat those animals are all, in the end, living on captured sunlight. As the base of the food web went dark, the collapse would climb upward through every link in the chain. Slowly at first, then all at once. Even the air would shift. Photosynthesis is what tops up our oxygen and pulls in carbon dioxide. With the green machinery stalled and the planet cooling, the atmosphere we take for granted would slowly, fundamentally change. Give it weeks, then months, and the cold would finally win at the surface. The oceans would begin to freeze. But here is the twist. Ice floats and ice insulates. A frozen lid would form on top of the seas and then shield the water beneath it, so that far below, in the crushing dark, the deep ocean could stay liquid for thousands of years. And that is where the story refuses to end. Down at the hydrothermal vents on the ocean floor, there are creatures that never relied on the sun at all. They live on chemical energy and the planet's own internal heat, leaking up from the radioactive furnace of Earth's core. To them, the sun going out would be a rumor. So life would not vanish. It would retreat into the deep water, into the rock, into the warmth the Earth makes for itself. A stubborn footnote, written in the dark, waiting. And what about us? In the first hours, almost nothing would change for the average person. The danger would be invisible. The real fight would begin within days as the cold deepened and the lights of civilization, cut off from solar power, began to matter more than ever. In principle, a small number of people could survive for a while. Nuclear and geothermal power do not need the sun. Iceland already heats whole cities with the warmth of the Earth. Pockets of humanity could huddle around that internal heat, growing food under artificial light, sealed against a surface that had become as cold and airless as deep space. But it would be survival, not living. No sunrise, no seasons, no open sky that did not try to kill you. The Earth would become a generation ship adrift between the stars, carrying whatever life was clever enough or deep enough to hold on. And drifting at 30 kilometers a second, it would take tens of thousands of years before we even pass close to another star. We call the sun a light in the sky, as if it were a lamp we could replace. It is not. It is the anchor that holds our orbit, the warmth that holds our weather, and the first link in every chain of life. And if it were ever taken from us, we would feel its absence in that exact order. First the dark, then the cold, then the silence. But for 8 minutes, none of us would know. The light already on its way would keep arriving, gentle and golden, from a star that was already gone. 8 minutes of grace. It is, when you think about it, all the sun has ever given us. Just always, mercifully in advance.